This is a podcast or something like that.
Hey, what's up? How's it going? Oh my gosh, we are back on the Verbal Journal Pod. It's been the longest break since the VJP has STARTED. I was trying to make that rhyme and it's too many letters. It's probably the longest break since the podcast has elapsed. Damn, that was kind of good actually. Sort of fumbled it, but sort of drained it at the same time, in a good way. So it's podcast time. I don't even know if this is recording properly. It probably is. I was like, the settings and Streamlabs. I had changed to being recording on a hard drive instead of my desktop because I've been working on setting up this interview that I've mentioned on previous episodes, and it was potentially going to happen today. It didn't happen, but it was potentially going to happen, so I had things rigged up to, record to an external hard drive from Streamlabs, and I don't know if that was the factor or something else in the audio settings. It was making it sound a little weird, so I was testing it out. I don't know. Basically, that's the conclusion. I think it sounds fine, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's a weird episode. Maybe it's a strange episode. Maybe it's going to be a bizarre episode. But it is episode 44. Speaking of which, I do not believe that I said the episode number last time. Wanted to apologize for that. I wanted to apologize for that to everyone. I know just a lot of people, there are a lot of stakeholders in that issue. A lot of people who were affected by my actions and inactions, by my malice and my neglect. And I just want to apologize. That was, it was both malicious and neglectful. I fully intentionally decided to not say the episode number last time, like 3 weeks ago. Fully decided to not say it, and also forgot to say it. So it was both intentionally malicious and also just unintentionally neglectful. So everybody should be mad at me. Must be mad at me, actually. Is there a difference there? Not really. They're both ought. They just have slightly different implications. Should sort of implies maybe in accordance with some sort of rule. But it could also mean pattern or just expectation. But then must also implies a rule, but it almost feels a little bit more like I almost said handheld, man-made rule rather than the rules that compel the shoulds. Anyways, we should get going. So I took 2 weeks off. I took a week off because I was doing Thanksgiving, and then I took last week off. Is that all it's been? Does that explain the full span of time? I think it does, yeah. Then I took last week off just because I was busy, sort of, and then didn't feel like it. I also didn't really feel like it today, but I felt that I must. It's, I've been filling up my verbal journal document with extremely important things to talk about. But no, mostly I don't know, it's a good outlet, and it feels worth doing. If I wasn't doing this right now, I'd be painting, which is fine. I can paint later, But I also have, my friends are getting together and doing some music, so I was like sort of wanting to go to that, but that's also not even, like, I'm not really missing it. So basically there's no problem is kind of the long and short of it, which is always the toughest problem to solve, the one that doesn't exist. So it gives you the most to kind of work with from a solution standpoint. Everything both works and doesn't work. So is this podcast going off the rails? Not even just this episode, but the entire podcast. It's episode 44. Have we left the rails? Is what a lot of people are wondering. No, I don't think there were definitely not rails when we started. You can go back to the beginning, episode 2, the first episode, and you can just listen and you can understand. There were no rails. There is no spoon, basically. If you hear a creaking, it's my chair, by the way. It's one of the arms of my chair. My chair does only have one arm. The other one broke off. I've had this chair for like 2.5 years, 3 years maybe. No, 2.5. And then, one of the arms broke off because I would just like lean on it. I'd be like watching something and like sort of stretching and like have my chair turned and like leaning on the arm. So eventually it wore it down and the screws broke off that connected the arm to the chair. They broke off, not one by one. I want to say 2 at a time, and then the last one eventually after that, but it must have been 1 at a time technically if you go down to like the millisecond level. Anyways, I do think this podcast has been going well. I don't want to just brag, but I felt like the last episode was pretty good. So episode 43, I thought that was pretty good. So yeah, I'm not trying to brag, but so let's see. So with this 3 weeks having elapsed since my last episode, and now there's going to be not just a lot in my VJP doc to talk about. There's obviously going to be an enormous amount of correspondence from the listenership that we'll need to catch up on now. And out of guilt and shame for not posting an episode last week, I made a text post on Patreon and on the YouTube membership page. And I said, hope you're doing well. Thanks for supporting my work. And, I'm not doing a podcast this week, but yeah, have a good one. And, see you next week. And, so on Patreon, we did not get any comments or responses. I did say if you'd like, in penance for my misdeeds, you can comment or a question or a comment. You could just say something and I'll respond to it on the podcast because that's, people fucking that's like a dream come true for like a majority of the world's population. That's like Maslow's hierarchy, like every single step of the pyramid for, most people. Just to the thought of being like referred to on the Verbal Journal podcast is something most people spend day in and day out dreaming of and imagining. So I just figured it would, I'd be a beneficent host and offer that. Okay, no response on YouTube membership page too. Okay. I don't know. There might have been a glitch. It did get upvoted once, though, the post on YouTube membership page. So, that's good. That's good. That's what we want to see. So no response there. You know what we'll do then? We'll kind of make up for it. We'll check the mailbag. We'll check the mailbag, the Verbal Journal mailbag. You can write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. That's verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. Or at least I think it is, because we do not get messages. Okay, no emails. That's fine. You don't need to email in, but if you would like to email in, please feel free. We're here. We'll chat. Lots to talk about today. Fine that we didn't get any. So one thing I haven't announced yet on the pod because I've taken such a long break, but my voice was featured in a video by amazing creators, the Leftist Cooks. So it's supposed to sound like leftist cucks. And because they're Irish, right? Yeah, they're Irish. And it's Neil, that's the Irish person, and then Sarah, who's American, who I somehow like forgot was American, even though I'm pretty sure she obviously comes off as American. I think I forgot because their videos are so not American, which is, I mean, I don't know if there's a higher compliment than that for a creative arts duo. I think Neil started the channel on their own, and then it's just been a fantastic channel the whole time. Sarah joined relatively early on too. It went from being called the Liberal Cook to the Liberal Cooks, and then to the Leftist Cooks, I believe, because they were like, the joke was, people get called Liberal Cook, but like at the end of the day, the joke stops landing. I think. Because you just are calling yourself liberal, which is just no self-respecting person would want to associate with the word liberal. It doesn't have positive associations, really. So, in any way, to any reasonable, neutral-minded observer. Anyway, so I read a quote for them. They hit me up on Twitter. Sarah did, and was like, hey, and we've had some interaction back and forth in the last year or two or so. Yeah, probably last year I know Sarah's watched some of my videos because she's mentioned that, and I'll watch their videos and their live streams, and I'll give them some money sometimes because I like to support artists who I like. And then they're super like they're not a huge channel, so they appreciate everything. I mean, they're just extreme. I haven't really said enough about their work, but like their videos are incredibly good. Like they're just on a whole nother level, and it's even at the very beginning, and every channel like starts off really bad compared to where it ends up. But even at the very beginning, like their creativity is off the charts. I learned at a certain point that Neil's extremely good at music production as well and makes just all this original music. They do editing. They're just so ambitious and very like morally, intelligent, I would say. Very like well-developed sort of reasoning, moral reasoning, and very like empirical based. And Sarah especially, forget if she has a master's or is like getting a master's in like psychology or something, but she definitely goes to the research and knows how to do research. And they're just incredibly creative too. The videos are just really on a whole nother level. I mean, I would argue they're objectively better than mine, but I do think that it's fair to say like, you get different things from different art. So it's a little bit silly to compare and contrast at the end of the day, but they just have so much that no other channels have. Basically, it's extremely rare. Almost makes me think of Leo Vader a little bit, who's a great creative person online, and but like more theatrical, I guess, a little bit. But Leo's getting really fun with it in a lot of videos too. So yeah, anyways, I support Leo Vader too on Patreon. I mean, it's a great way to like connect with people and like make it clear that you appreciate their work. And then, I mean, yeah, it's so cool that it's led to eventually like, cause I guess that's how it started. I probably just like supported them in some way or commented or something. And, yeah, you just connect with other creators. It's really not that hard. Even like in real life, it's not just online. Like it's not that hard to meet people if you just put yourself out there in any way, basically. And supporting people at what they do, especially when you genuinely love it, like it's just a great way to meet people and connect with people who you're going to like enjoy meeting with. So, and talking with, even if it's just in a mediated way of online. But yeah, so I read a quote for them about how when you're looking at interpersonal violence, especially gendered violence against women, you have to understand the systemic issues that contribute to the situation in addition to the personal issues, or something to that effect. And I'll give constructive criticism. The way they cut into my quote is a little abrupt. The first time I watched it, I was like, fuck. But that's just me being very nitpicky. So it's an unbelievably good video. So they did this whole video. It's called Harm and Justice. That's the name of the video that I'm talking about. And it's just all about how we treat people and ourselves when people or ourselves have committed harm. And I mean, I literally have like my whole series about Better Call Saul. I mean, it's about a few different things, but it's definitely about like, what is justice? What is justice? Baby, don't hurt me. So anyways, I'm in the Leftist Cooks video. I read one line. They, Sarah hit me up over Twitter and was like, can you, in a super nice way, I'm just summarizing it, and was like, can you read a quote by, like, sort of in like 4 days from then. They were like, I know that's not a lot of time, but can you like record this quote in 4 days? Like, no worries if not, like, but yeah, we thought you'd be really good for it. And like, like they were just super nice about it. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it right now. So I like literally, I just had a break in my workday. It was like Tuesday or Thursday or something. And I just threw a blanket over my computer and microphone, as I have to do to dampen the sound. Usually when I'm recording for a video, I rig up a different sort of DIY situation with the blanket where I'm not sitting here at my computer. So, I'm recording somewhere like a little bit different. But anyways, I just did it at my computer here because it's no big deal to do that. And just read the quote. which I thought had a grammatical error, which I told them, but I think that's just because it was a quote and someone made a grammatical error in their quote, and it was very minor and I might have been wrong. But it was an extremely good video, and it was such an honor to be a part of it. I mean, I posted about it, sharing the video on YouTube and stuff, but it was just such an honor. It really was. Like, it really does feel so cool, and on like a real social level, it's like feels really included. Like, that's how I feel. I'm just like, oh my God, they wanted me to read. Like, it's so cool for people I respect to respect me back. Not that I don't respect everyone, but there's just different degrees. Like, people you actually like respect the thing they make and like the work they do, and for them to include me at all as any piece, it's just so cool. Because that's what it's all about, working on art with people and just having a good time. Yeah. In this case, I wasn't working on it with them, but it's a small slice of the same premise. Yeah. And I was working on it with them, just in an extremely small degree compared to what that phrase would normally imply. And, I recorded like 4 takes of it and sent it over to them and told them I thought the last take was the best, but they could choose, and they said it was all good. So what a good time. Next up, another cool thing that's happened is last weekend in the Discord, we had a audio chat. We had a voice chat, as the kids are calling it. We were in VC. We were yeeting in VC. It took me way too long to think of like a young person word. Okay. So we were basically yeeting in VC, and we were doing what's called fiction fun. So fiction fun is when we write brief fiction pieces, stories, you might call them, and we share them with one another, about 4 or 5 people. And then whoever feels like it jumps on a call, and we chat about our stories and fiction and art and life and liberty and respect and happiness and trust and truth and tribulations and trials. So it was a great time. The fiction was really fun, and we shared, there were 3 of us, and we shared our stories and talked about them. We like talked about each other's stories is a better way of putting it, because we had already read each other's stories. So they were also different, and we responded to the theme of, I wrote up the theme. It was something about like, even though hydrogen is the simplest element, I knew this wasn't going to be a simple situation, or something like that. That's like what I wrote up. So we all had very different takes on it. One person did like almost like a horror existential fiction piece about like sort of unknowable like creatures, or like in a sense like the unknowable sort of like attacking humans in like an apocalyptic way. That's not doing justice to the piece. I'm just trying to give you a impression, giving you like a impressionistic painting of these things, usually on the podcast. So but yeah, and the other was a funny dialogue driven short piece of a conversation between like, I guess, romantic partners about one of them wanting to build a hydrogen car just without any professional knowledge on how to do that. And mine was a sort of emo, but like slightly not funny, but I don't know, it was feeling maybe like hyper conscious in a way, like you were just in this person's head who was being neurotic about like a sort of potential romantic situation. And it came from a place of like a weird frustration that I was feeling socially that I wanted to sort of exaggerate and express in fiction. So that was fun, and people enjoyed it, and we talked, and then we read a story of someone who didn't join the call and talked about their story. That was super fun. They were just, they had like this, it was almost like a dystopian kind of, I guess I don't know why I'm keeping people's identities secret. I guess I just feel like I always want to respect people's privacy, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people, but I am saying they're fiction stories. anyways, everyone has different approaches to a prompt, and that's always the exciting, sort of interesting thing about these things to me, as well as just reading what people write. It's just so interesting seeing how different everything is and how good in different ways everyone's art is. Okay. So big thing lately, H-bomb drops the A-bomb, right? Or I don't know if I have to call it A-bomb. Oh, I'll just say H-bomb's the bomb. Let's try that again. Big news this week. H-bomb. So the H-bomb bomb dropped the A-bomb about James S. S-O-M. So James Summertime. James Summertime Sadness is a creator I have not watched, and I don't believe I've ever even clicked on a video, but I do remember seeing him on the Twitter. I think briefly when I joined Twitter, I was more of a liberal, I guess. I'm not trying to say Twitter is what's changed my political ideology, though it does open your mind to certain different perspectives being existing. But when I joined Twitter, it was in 2020-ish or something, and I was just new to things and just wanted to join Twitter. New to things, what does that mean? I guess what I'm trying to say is when I joined Twitter, I had not done some of the further learning and experiencing. Oh, you know what I am, I guess, trying to say also, I was pretty radicalized by the summer uprising, the Black Power movement in the U.S. and the anti-police sort of brutality movement in the U.S. that happened in the summer of 2020. Obviously, COVID also was radicalizing. I was liberal enough to be radicalized by Donald Trump being elected president. You know what I mean? I was completely shocked. I was, someone who was in almost a stereotypical way, this, not that I thought highly of America. I wasn't I was not going to July 4th cookouts. I love America forever for any amount of time. But I definitely didn't realize the depth and extent of depravity that the United States is capable of. And I did vote for Hillary Clinton, which I do not believe I could bring myself to do these days. And I basically, not that I regret it. I don't regret it. But I just, I basically am trying to say over the course of the last it's the end of 2023, so 3 years. I've definitely developed a much stronger understanding of what I think are exactly the forces going on causing issues in our world and what's causing what. A lot of people I think fall short in their analysis of things, start relying on fallacies or whether it's confirmation bias or just correlation causation or just there are so many different ways that I think we could be lazy in our thinking, and we're all guilty of it. But when I think it's important to really try to understand all the issues in our world. And when I say this has ever been radicalizing, I only mean that to sort of express more the stagnation of what came before rather than any sort of judgment on what came after. Because basically it's just all about changing and updating your perception of reality as either reality changes or your perception of it changes. During that uprising in 2020 and I think multiple months, but especially August, I feel I was just glued to my computer watching live streams. I participated in some protests myself, but I saw the most messed up stuff just vicariously, I guess, through people's live streams. And it was, it's, you have to sort of take that in, I guess. And I think I hide myself from stuff like that nowadays, but I don't know. I don't know what the correct amount of exposure is exactly. So let me know if you have an opinion. Anyways, so H-Bomb dropped the A-bomb on James' Summertime Sadness. And why was I talking about that? Oh, yeah, I was literally just talking about why I have a Twitter. I took the simple fact that I have a Twitter and like that I was in a more liberal sort of place when I joined Twitter and just got a little bit off track. But anyways, so I definitely saw James Summertime Sadness's sort of posts. I remember seeing his extremely sort of like stuck up looking profile picture. I just remember he looks like he's trying to look like he's in a movie or something. I don't know, but I don't. And like the things he would say would sort of have that same vibe, uptight. I guess I don't know. I probably come off that way to some people, but anyways, I don't remember. I just never watched his videos, but I guess so I love H-Bomber Guy. I'm a huge fan of his videos. He's like an absolute gem and like the most delightful, stimulating creator, basically. I rewatch his videos. Like I rewatched this one already, like several times. I'll just have it on in the background instead of like a podcast. So his video was about different creators on YouTube plagiarizing, and then it builds up towards talking about James Somerton, and talks about other large creators and small creators before that, and sort of establishes the pattern of plagiarism and talks about what leads to it and what potentially could be done about it, or why accountability doesn't happen like we want it to, or it doesn't always. And yeah, it actually was interesting in this case because James Somerton deleted all his videos, or I'm sorry, privated them to be specific. Right, let me check. I mean, it must still be privated, right? Yeah. So he has 300. Oh, never mind. I was going to say he has 332,000 subscribers because that's what Google says. But then when you click on it, he has 264. So he's lost 70 or something. What was that? Yeah, 70, 72. And he privated all his videos. I'm sure he didn't delete them, but he privated them, and he has no icon. He deleted his icon. Now, the extremely funny and weird thing about this, y'all, is that you might know this if you're on Twitter, but because H-Bomber Guy posted about it. But he, for no conceivable reason that I'm aware, H-Bomber Guy, in the last few days has had his icon on YouTube gone. Okay, plagiarism in YouTube. So you see his sort of icon is gone, and it's just a lowercase h, which looks almost the same as James Somerton, who deleted his icon after getting fucking owned by H-Bomber Guy. He deleted his icon along with all his other content. So but H-Bomber Guy did not do it. Would be so funny and perfect and literally not be confusing, and it would make perfect sense for H-Bomb to have done this as a joke, to have deleted his image to make a joke, like making fun of James Somerton for having to delete his channel and everything. That would make perfect sense. Not confusing at all. But it's not true. That's not true. Because H-Bomber Guy on his Twitter, he says, weird, my profile picture has disappeared. Can people report profile pics or something? I could just add it back, but I'm curious what's happening. Hey, Team YouTube, could you tell me what's happening, please? And Team YouTube says, here to help. Can you share your channel URL so we can take a look? I shit you not. They say that to H-Bomber Guy, who has 1.5 million subscribers on the platform and has 450,000 followers on Twitter. He's fucking probably spoken at YouTube events. Like, oh, I guess he's not on. He doesn't have a verified Twitter though. because he's not a loser. You know, in this day and age, you literally pay. It's not even verification. You just pay to be a member of Twitter. Anyways, H Bomber Guy replies to them asking him to share his channel URL. He says he spells this all out with words. He says youtube.com/H Bomber Guy. And as far as I can see, I don't even see a response by Team YouTube. But that's just like fucking amazing that they literally said, "What's your channel URL?" to H Bomber Guy. That is so funny. Anyways, he doesn't have an image, and he's apparently not adding one back because he wants YouTube to explain to him what's going on. But it is extremely, extremely funny. It's extremely weird and coincidental that James Somerton privates his videos, deletes his own image, and now H Bomber Guy has his image deactivated just randomly, so that someone at YouTube like could have done that. And then now his thing looks like James Somerton. It's almost like he's plagiarizing James Somerton. Anyways, there's this article in LGBTQ Nation on LGBTQNation.com called "Popular Gay YouTuber Deletes Online Presence After Video Accuses Him of Rampant Plagiarism." Byline or subline or whatever. James Somerset. Okay, so already it's like that's not his name, right? That's not the guy's name. It's Somerton. Okay. Anyways, this is the sub headline. James Somerset was making $170,000 a year with nearly 6 million views and 267,000 subscribers on YouTube until... And it's by Daniel Villarreal from Friday, December 8th. And this is a real author, according to... he appears to be a real author. I can't look at his Facebook because I don't have Facebook. But he certainly has an image and seems like a real person. But this article, then they have a photo of James Somerton, which they chose a great photo. He looks absolutely on another planet. They do title him correctly as James Somerton for that photo. Okay. And then the article goes like this. Bisexual British YouTube essayist Harris Brewis, also known as H Bomber Guy, has published a viral 4-hour video largely accusing gay prolific YouTube media critic James Somerton of making thousands of dollars from videos that repeatedly passed off other LGBTQ plus cultural writers' work as his own. So that's a pretty good opening line. I mean, to start an article with the word bisexual is pretty funny, I think. I would think it's strange, but I get that I would think it's strange to talk about someone's sexuality unnecessarily, but I see that it's relevant for an LGBTQ-focused organization. And then they talk about, in the same sentence, James being gay. So it's just clear that they like to include that information. Anyways, next paragraph. Somerton, a self-described marketing expert with a degree in business administration, which, by the way, I'm not sure if I don't know if he has proof of that. Had published numerous videos on queer themes in TV and film, earning nearly 6 million views and 267,000 subscribers. His video scripts sometimes added or changed words in other writers' sentences to make them seem like his own, and Somerton sometimes lied to cover up his alleged misdeeds, Brewis said. We're going to skip the next paragraph because we don't need to go through it. Going to skip the one after that. Going to skip... But then in the one after that, I'm going to read you this paragraph, okay? This is from this article. At least 22 of Somerton's 56 YouTube videos contain plagiarized content from numerous writers, Brewis said, and that only includes the instances that Brewis has discovered so far. One of Somerset's videos on film theory reportedly included entire uncredited passages taken directly from Wikipedia articles. One of Somerset's hour and 25-minute long videos about queer tropes in horror films allegedly used work from 18 different writers. While Somerset named half of them in his video's opening credits, his video never mentioned which specific words or ideas belonged to others, Brewis noted. So you might be wondering, did that writer just call James Somerton Somerset 3 times? And the answer is yes. After calling him Somerton in the same sentence, the same paragraph in the first sentence. In the next paragraph, this author calls him Somerton once and Somerset once. And in the one after that, it's Somerton once and Somerset once. And then in the one after that, it's Somerset once, and then Somerton once. Like, literally, it's a 2-sentence paragraph, and it goes, one writer, Rachel Brands, had a paid subscription to Somerset's Patreon account, a site where content creators solicit funds to create new works. She told Brewis that she later discovered that Somerton had plagiarized her work in one of his videos. So that's literally back-to-back sentences calling him Somerset and Somerton. And then in the next paragraph, we get 2 Somertons. Then in the next paragraph, we get 2 Somertons. Ooh, the author's hitting the stride right now. And then in the next paragraph, we just get 1 Somerset. And then in the next paragraph, 1 Somerton. And then in the one after that, none. And then in the one after that, 1 Somerton and 1 Somerset. And then in the one after that, Somerton. And then Somerset in the same paragraph. And then in the one after that, Somerton. And then it's over. Are you fucking joking? What the fuck? I thought it was AI or something. Like, what is going on? How do you do that back and forth so many times in an article? Anyways, good article other than that. And great video. Go check out the H-Bomb video if you somehow haven't. It has like almost 10 million views in like a week. Okay. Now we're transitioning into the sports segment of the podcast. Okay. Welcome to Sports City. Population me. Okay. So I was looking at some stats. I like looking at statistics. I'm a numbers guy. Okay. I thrive on numbers. I fucking eat them for breakfast. So you can look up very complicated stats on ESPN, let alone the more niche websites. But on ESPN, I was looking at the NBA player stats in this season, and I was looking at field goal percentage. Because that's something I've talked about on the podcast before. I make fun when Kyrie Irving has bad games and talk about when he shoots really low field goal percentage because I find it funny and I like to make fun of him because I punch up to him specifically because I don't like his vibe. I like to make fun when it's like 20% or 30%. But I wanted to check out what the actual best field goal percentages are. Field goal is just making a shot in basketball. And then so the best one right now is 73.3%. Jacob Patel or Poltl, Poeltl, Poltl, Jacob Poltl. He has 73% field goal percentage. And I realized he's a center. And so is the number 2, so is the number 3, so is the number 4, 5, 6, and 7. The top 7 players in field goal percentage are centers in their position. They're huge centers. Rudy Gobert, Zubac, Daniel Gafford. They're just huge guys who take shots from close and very high up. And they're big, and they make a lot of their shots. So if you look for and then there are a few power forwards, Giannis, and a few others. And then for the first guard, okay, because there's a bunch of centers, power forwards, small forwards, center, power forwards, centers, small forwards, LeBron James, center. For the first point guard or any type of guard, let alone shooting guard, first guard is a point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on Oklahoma, and he's the first point guard, and he's the 19th highest field goal percentage, and his is 54%. So breaking 50% in field goal percentage is amazing. Kevin Durant is 52%. Field goal numbers 27. Who's the first shooting guard? I wonder. Because shooting guards are taking more threes and stuff, so they're gonna, if you can shoot like 33% threes, you're killing it. There are no shooting guards. Is that even a thing anymore? There are no shooting. Luka Doncic is a point guard. He shoots 48.8%. Kawhi Leonard, same thing. I mean, is shooting guard still a thing, or is that show more? Yes. Okay. Devin Vassell on San Antonio and Devin Booker on Phoenix, 54 and 58. Okay. And they have like 48, 47. Okay. Interesting. That's fascinating. I'm sure people are going to love that. I went into so much detail on that. And if we look at 3-point percentages and we look at them as the lowest, who has the lowest 3-point percentage? Like, who makes the least number of 3-point shots compared to how many they take? Well, I'll tell you, at number 162 in the player stats this season, it's legendary once-in-a-generation talent Victor Wembanyama, who has 25.5% 3-point percentages. And he does attempt a lot of 3 points. He attempts on average 5 3-point shots a game, and he only makes on average 1 point like 2. So he's got to work on his. He's a center, but he's taking 5 3-pointers a game. That's sort of the generational talent side of things. I'm not trying to rag on Victor Wembanyama. He's a young guy. How old is he? He's fucking 19. Like, he's gonna be amazing. Like, he's 7'4". So I'm not trying to make fun of Victor Wembanyama. I'd like that to be known. He gets 10 rebounds a game. That's pretty good. But work on that 3-point shot, Victor. Victor, you got to work on that 3-point shot. Okay. Now if we go into now I know what you're thinking. Can we go into more NBA statistics? Yes, we can. So if we go to a website, basketball-reference.com/box scores/199802270, there's a bunch of other stuff. We can look at, and I found this from a Wikipedia article on interesting NBA statistics. This is the only game in the history of basketball where one team has had more than double the points the other. Because basketball scores, if you don't follow basketball, they're like 90 to 80 or 120 to 100 or, 125 to 121 or 84 to 90 or something. So getting double the number of points of your opponent is extremely difficult. It's happened once in history. On February 27th, 1998, Indiana against Portland. Indiana got 124. Portland got 59. That's the one time it's happened. Go tell your friends. Okay, next up, let's keep talking basketball. Draymond Green, who is suspended for 5 games after putting Rudy Gobert in a headlock on November 14th, said this after practice for the first time, speaking to reporters since his suspension. I don't live my life with regrets. I'll come to a teammate's defense anytime that I'm in a position to come to a teammate's defense. What matters to me is how the people that I care about feel first and foremost. How are the people that I care about affected? How are the people I care about? What do they have to deal with? That's it for me. Yeah, Draymond Green, you should actually double check with the people you care about that they like what you did. Because at the end of the day, you don't probably need to put Rudy Gobert in a headlock to defend your teammate. Like, most people defend their teammate without doing stuff like that, right? But I just, wanted to respond to that idea of I don't live my life with regrets. It's just an old-fashioned idea. It's unhealthy. Regrets are healthy. I'm not going to... You understand. If you watch my Breaking Bad video, you know that I think regret can be a healthy thing. I feel like I definitely said that along with guilt and shame. But regret can absolutely, it's just like, doesn't have to mean you just feel bad all the time. It's just when you do something bad, you should regret it. And then, you should make sure it doesn't happen again. And that helps you stop regretting it. So yeah, Draymond Green is the reason that it's irrational to be any sort of fan in the conventional sense of the Golden State Warriors. They are the team I watch the most because I know the players the most, but I don't watch them much anymore because I just can't stand to watch the enabling of someone who he punched a teammate in the face, like last year, a teammate who's no longer on the team anymore. Yeah. Okay, so, and I'm not saying someone who does violent things doesn't deserve love and affection. What I'm saying is it's hard to like a team where they enable such behavior, and, the coach has spoken defensively to a similar extent almost to what we just heard Draymond say himself. But one other interesting sports article is There's the MLB has one positive in 2023 after record drug testing. So after record testing of over 11,000 samples in the MLB, the Major League Baseball, there is only one test. There were 61 exemptions. Wonder why. Therapeutic use exemptions for ADHD. Wow. But they've dropped for the 10th straight year. Okay, so people take a similar drug for ADHD. Huh, that's interesting. Okay, but the exemptions go down. Yeah, we don't. So okay, next thing to talk about. This is big, huge news. So baseball is my favorite sport. Football next to watch, even though I don't watch it much, and then basketball. But baseball is my favorite because I fucking love it. I grew up playing it. It's the perfect pace. And the Dodgers are my team. I don't care if they win, but I watch them the most. It's sort of like Golden State before I realized how bad they were. Like morally. But because the Dodgers are, they're the big evil rich team. But I mean, they got the coolest players. And hey, speaking of which, they just signed absolute legend star Shohei Ohtani, who I talked about recently, maybe on the last episode, because he donated like 600,000 batting gloves to Japanese schools. And I was just like, okay, I hope he donated money too. But because I'm an asshole. I'm a piece of shit. I'm an old-fashioned piece of shit. So no, he's a great guy, and he's unfucking believable. He's a pitcher and a hitter, and he is so good, it's nuts. So I'm so glad that the fucking Dodgers signed him in a record contract, $700 million for a 10-year contract. There has never been a contract like this. They were willing to. How does a team do that? I think they pay a fine, right? Because you can't just. There's a salary cap, right? The previous highest deal was $426 million to Mike Trout. Wow. That's unbelievable. Wow. It's $70 million per season. It obliterates the previous high of $43.3 by Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander on much shorter deals. Wow. It's going to be so cool to get to watch Ohtani with the Dodgers. Oh my God. So the Dodgers didn't sign any big free agents last year, lowering their payroll to about $158 million entering this offseason, much lower than the sport's other big spenders. But isn't there, but how do they do this? Isn't there a salary cap? I'm just trying to see really quick because this number will leave fans of small market teams angry and disgusted and left to wonder how they can compete with this behemoth in Chavez Ravine. Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. Wow. I mean, Shohei Ohtani is such a good hitter. I'll never forget this at-bat I watched where I'm sorry, I was just still seeing if they happen to talk about the salary cap. Okay, we'll just not worry about it. Okay. So, but I'll just never forget this one time I saw him in an at-bat where it was like maybe 1-1 or something, 1 strike, 1 ball. And he just got owned on a pitch. He swung at a curveball, and it was such a whiff. He just fucking got owned. He went down on one knee or something. It was really bad. And he comes back, and the next pitch, not even just that. Before he comes back into the batter's box, you see him make a look where he's like, okay, that got me, but I'm back in it. And next pitch, he hits a home run. It was the most fucking badass thing I've seen. I was like, wow, that's so badass. Okay, next news: Henry Kissinger died. Okay. Next up, what was this? There's something on Twitter. Yeah. Did I talk about it on the pod? I posted again about Magnus Carlsen still calling himself the world chess champion on social media. I posted on November 29th and said, the day is November 29th, 2023. It has been 213 days that Ding Liren has been world chess champion, and at Magnus Carlsen, I tagged him, still erroneously has world chess champion in his bio, his header, and his YouTube bio. Note Kasparov's, quote, 13th world chess champion in his bio. Unbelievable, dude. Just change it. So, I'm sort of giving it a few different approaches within one tweet. Now it's been like 2 weeks since I posted that. He has not, his social media team has not updated. So we were talking about, we were talking about Grok and some of the magic that's going on over there at Twitter. We were talking about Grok the other day. I was giving a very informative presentation on the subject. Recently, I saw this on Twitter. When I was on Twitter, there was just this post. It was a sort of automated post at the top by Twitter, and it said, "Get Grok with Premium Plus. Enjoy additional benefits like no ads in your For You and following timelines and largest reply prioritization." So if you hear those words and have anything but visceral disgust, I want to study you for science, but I was like, what? It's just so interesting how a company will be like, yeah, we're making your experience of our platform worse, but you can give us money and then you can like kind of ride this wave and it will be less bad and it will even be good in some ways for you, but only in a very bizarre way because you'll be part of something that's manifestly worse. So anyways, long story short, I did not subscribe to Grok, but the funny sort of news since then is that Grok is apparently some sort of thing, some sort of AI thing. I thought it was just a joke that people, I thought it was just a funny, a gag, a meme, a laugh, but it's apparently an AI, of course. So people ask it questions and, it's more intelligent than, I guess people expected it to kind of be like a conservative, but apparently it's like, it says things about how gender is like a social construct. And so I don't know. They're apparently going to, I think they're going to put down Grok. So I don't know. It's kind of, I didn't want it to have to go there on the podcast, but I think they're going to put down Grok. And I'm kind of getting chills talking about it. Speaking of Twitter, our chess segment of the week, even though there's some good chess tournaments going on, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to say Hans Niemann posted the dumbest thing. And then Jan Nepomniachtchi, the great chess player, made fun of him. And I thought it was really funny. So I wanted to share it. Hans Niemann, of course, who sued Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura and Chess.com for different things that he was alleging that they had done wrong in their discussing of his behavior. And this is a big subject I covered on the side channel. And I have lots of thoughts. I believe all the people involved did things wrong, but I'll limit what I'm talking about to Hans Niemann here because it's his tweet. I thought he didn't take accountability at all, and he acted like a petulant child, and didn't. He admitted to an extremely small extent of what he had done, and then he walked that back later, and he's learned nothing, in my opinion. I don't think he's cheating, but I think he's learned nothing, and I don't like his personality at the moment. But he tweeted after apparently like winning a tournament. He tweeted it's a picture of him next to a picture of Bobby Fischer. And it says 2 lone Americans. Bobby Fischer is obviously the famous American player that like burst on the scene and like beat a lot of people and is considered one of the best players of all time. He also lost his grip on reality and stopped playing extremely early in his career because he was very mentally unstable, unfortunately. And yeah, I've listened to an interview with Hans Niemann where he talked about Bobby Fischer a few times and sort of compared himself to Bobby Fischer and was self-aware in the interview. It was on the Perpetual Chess podcast. And he was self-aware in the interview. This is before, like years before the cheating stuff came out in the way it did. But he was self-aware and was like, I guess I shouldn't be comparing myself to Bobby Fischer too much. Anyway, so Hans Niemann posted this photo of him next to this photo of Bobby Fischer, I guess winning the same tournament. And he said 2 lone Americans up against a world facing immeasurable odds, victorious 53 years apart at the legendary Tournament of Peace. And then he posts his performance, 8 out of 9, 29-46 performance rating I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and the impossible. That's very melodramatic. And a lot of people who are premium members, I'm seeing them say congratulations. Of course, I'm seeing the premium members first. Because they're all fucking loaded up on grok. So Jan Nepomniachtchi responded to that saying, tweeting on the shoulders of giants, smiley, like winky sort of smiley emoji, which is brutal. That is like brutal. That is brutal. Tweeting on the shoulders of giants. But yeah, I mean, more power to Hans Niemann. Hey, I mean, he's obviously the sort of even before the cheating stuff came out, he was sort of the little shit of chess, where he would say things to interviewers like, my games speak for themselves, and then he would come in the next day and lose. You know, it's like it's this sort of arrogance, and you can even see, like, in the post, there's this weird, like, I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and the impossible. That is I would say, very melodramatic and sort of not healthy. And I genuinely hope that Hans can find happiness and not say things that are so concerning to me. Because, I'm the one who has to be myself. And so yeah. And lastly, but most importantly on today's very long but good, some will say, podcast, is the Screen Time Report. You may have heard my phone go off a second ago. That was unrelated, believe it or not. But let's check out the Screen Time Report. How about it? A little bit harder to find. I got to figure out. Oh, here we go. Samsung Health. That doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right. Nope. Let's try a different strategy. You got to be flexible. You go into the settings. You go to digital well-being and parental controls. There we go. And then you click on the bar graph. Weekly report. 1 hour and 3 minutes was my daily average screen time. And it doesn't have the comparison to previous weeks, which is the thing I usually talk about. Yeah, it only has that when it shows up in the organic way when I get the notification. Otherwise, it doesn't compare to previous weeks. So that's sort of what we're learning today. We're learning about the Screen Time Report itself more than just about my screen time use. So that's sort of a fun fact, and I hope you really enjoyed that. Have a great time. I hope this, satiated your verbal journal lust. And I hope you're doing well. And feel free to, write in if you'd like, or just keep listening. Thanks so much for your time, and goodbye.
This is a podcast or something like that.